I think this is a good time to go ahead and go over the patch now as well, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. All right, so got a quick look here. Probably won't take too much time because we're just gonna go over all the specifics. But we got Williams up first. We'll go ahead and skip over him. We'll come back to him afterwards. Um,
Dodge. We have
but
to stop to the skins, right?
of course, we gotta stop at the skins. Lennox is getting a new skin. This character refuses to put her arms in her sleeves whatsoever.
But I love her regardless. She looks amazing in her skin. I'm just so excited for the skin to come out.
Real
Uh,
gangsters don't need sleeves, Brian.
Well, she's got sleeves. She just doesn't use them.
Real gangsters don't.
Just
put
wear a
arms in
cape.
sleeves.
Just
But
wear.
think about this though. Like every gangster that you've seen, though, like they don't put their arms into their shirts. They rest them over your shoulders. Dude, that's how you know you're a true gangster.
It is true though that a cape is way less intimidating than a coat, where you're just not putting your arms in.
Yeah, but you're a modern day gangster. You're not. What's a cloak, you know?
All right, they're adding a new daily missions guide for new players. I'm just gonna go ahead and skip over that. It's not super important. The replay system is going to be available for limited amount of players. They said they don't want to overstress the system, so they just want to start out with a couple players. It says if no significant problems arise, the full release should not be far off. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and get into some character balance. So they said they're addressing region builds and adjusting defense mastery. They're trying to decrease the time to kill in the late game. They're saying that there's too much regeneration in the late game, that it just takes too long to kill people. So right now they're just increasing every character's HP by 60, reducing everyone's HP per level by 3. So at level 20 you have the same HP as before, but early on you just have more HP. So time to kill is going to be higher in the early game just because everyone's got more HP to work with. Everyone's getting more attack power per level, just upright. Just straight up, everyone's getting more attack power per level. And then healing reduction has been increased, both by how much the healing is reduced and for how long the effect lasts. So if you auto attack someone, instead of it being a debuff for 3 seconds, it'll last for 4 seconds. And then range characters is going from 25% anti-heal to 30%. Melee is going from 40 to 45. Yeah, not too much to say there. Like, they've already kind of stated it. They just want the time to kill to be quicker in the late game. They don't want people surviving super long just because of food and like regeneration builds. So
I feel like that'll definitely help with the Jukai killing Jukai, teams.
through Jukai
All their
food.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jukai food.
The Fujukai foods.
They said last patch hurt Nadine a little too much when they nerfed her passive stack, so they're giving her 1 extra stack per chicken now. Her scroll traps no longer last as long, so instead of lasting a full minute, they're gonna last 45 seconds.
I'm glad they don't last as long. Sick of seeing the squirrel traps.
Linux has some interesting changes. She's getting different different recipes for her Gleipnir whip, which was always Avenue Beach. So they're making some changes to her character. A little bit more SP regen. Her passive comes up a little bit quicker, but her passive you literally never level until last. So unless they ever change her to actually have a legitimate auto attack whip, this doesn't matter. So, anyways, if you ever max out her passive, it's going from 12 seconds to 10 seconds before the shield comes back up. Her ult, the delay between the 2 slashes, going down just a smidge. So the second slash after the first is gonna just be a little bit quicker. But again, yeah, she's getting some changes to her whips. We'll talk about those later on. Leon is currently a little bit bursty, so they're trying to flatten out his burst and then kind of smooth out his power curve for the late game. So they don't actually make changes to help his late game, but they're hitting his burst this patch. So his W's losing 20 damage, flat damage when you max it out. This is the ability you usually max first when you go Frost Pedal. This ability, the damage is applied 3 times though, if you get 3 autos off, so losing 20 damage is actually losing 60 damage. His E, they're taking off 40 damage when you max it out. This is actually the last ability you max, so this is like a level 20 nerf, so probably more aimed at solos. Also says, let's see, when Leon resurfaces in a location with no pool due to using E on impassable terrain, Leon creates a pool where he resurfaces. Alright, cool. So they're just hitting his burst a little bit. I mean, I like this. He's kind of just strong in Hotel, but when it's not around Hotel, I feel like he's kind of a fair character. But when you're fighting him in Hotel, it can be a little obnoxious. Rozzy losing a smidge amount of move speed. Her passive's doing a little bit less damage. Instead of her second shot doing 80% damage, it's doing 70% damage at level 9 now, since you max this first. Rio. Let's see what they say here. They say, we took a long look at Rio following her release and concluded that her actual gameplay could use some adjusting. We're trying to avoid the nuke, in quotes, and focus on her sustained damage for longer fights. So, I'm assuming this is in reference to she generally plays better as an amp character rather than an auto attack character. So let's go ahead and see what they did here. They're taking off 4 base attack power from her off the get-go, but they're compensating with 3 defense as well as 5 HP per level. Her short bow, the one that attacks 2 times, their translation here is a little bit confusing, but it says the normal attack frame is going from 0.23 seconds to 0.13 seconds. Not sure if this is going to be the delay before attacking, the delay between the second shot coming out after the first, because it's a 2-part auto attack, kind of like how assault rifle is a 3-part auto attack. I'm not sure exactly what this means. It just sounds overall that the attack will be smoother. Just going to kind of have to see how that works out in game.
So from a fighting game perspective, because I was a fighting game player, so from that perspective, it seems like the frames will just come out faster. She'll be launching her projectile faster. It won't necessarily come out faster, but it'll seem like she's smoothly attacking faster.
And then they're adjusting her damage as on her 2-part auto. They're shifting it from both autos being equal damage to the second auto being slightly higher damage. So instead of at max rank it being 52%, it's going to be 50% to 54%. Just a small nudge, making sure you don't cancel your autos a little too early because you want to get that second second arrow in for the full damage. The longbow version, this is the one where it has higher attack power. It has negative attack speed though when you switch to the longbow one. They're making the negative attack speed not as severe. It used to be minus 30%. Now it's going down to minus 25% attack speed. They're also hitting the attack power of it a little bit though. You're losing 6%. So instead of it maxing out at 126% of your attack power, it's only going to be 120%. Her E. So this is her jump over walls, jump away from characters. They refund the cooldown of the ability when you hit when it fires an arrow at an enemy. So normally this ability has a 10-second cooldown, is not affected by cooldown reduction whatsoever. When you use the ability close enough to an enemy, it'll fire off an arrow. If you successfully fire off an arrow like that, it gives you reduced cooldown. So they're just adding 1 second extra onto that cooldown. So it's not quite as much free cooldown when you hit someone with it. Basically, it just means you won't be able to jump as often.
Right. They also, real quick though, to interject, they did on the minor patch. They did give her a small nerf to her W too. So she's getting a small nerf. Where she had that small nerf, and then just these little minor changes as well.
Yeah, the change to her W, it was her longbow W. They added 2 seconds onto it. That ability refunds 70% of the cooldown, and that ability is affected by cooldown reduction. It basically meant you couldn't just keep mashing your W key, and there was just a little bit of time spacing between it. So you couldn't just blow up a team by smashing the W key and chugging SP drinks. You kind of had to wait a little bit. Basically, people would be like, "Oh my god, wait, what did we just get hit by?" And then they could make a decision before the second one comes flying out. Whereas before it was you got hit, and then the second one's almost immediately coming right after the first.
These changes will be really good. It'll help balance out Rio a little bit more and make her not as squishy as well. She was really squishy. We were talking about that as well.
Yeah, and then this is probably my favorite change out of all of these. We'll have to see how it goes because I'm not sure if this means what I hope it means. So her ultimate, she's got the rapid fire 3-shot plus the 4-shot knockback on her short bow, and the long bow is kind of like an ashel, but instead of stunning, it's like a slow. They said the hit range is going from 1.2 to 1.5. I always complained for the longbow, not for the short bow. The short bow was just fine for the ultimate. The longbow felt like the hitbox on the ultimate was way too thin. Way too thin. Like, incredibly skinny. You would just see it, like, go almost through people, and you'd be like, wait, how did that not hit? So I'm hoping this is an increase in the width, but it says hit range, so I'm not sure what exactly they mean. But my hope is that it's the width on the hitbox.
The only concern that I have is it says Bleeding Souls / Spirit Arrow. So is this on both?
Yeah,
You know?
so my guess
Yeah,
is
you know what I mean?
I didn't have an issue. I don't think it matters because for the short bow one, the person you're trying to hit is like really close to you, so it's hard to miss. It just means maybe if you're slightly off to the side of her and you're like, oh my god, wait, did my ult really not knock them back there? It might mean that they're more likely to get knocked back. It's when you're in melee form or when you're in melee range though, that probably really isn't going to matter a whole lot, in my opinion. This was kind of like her short bow ultimate was like her main burst damage for amp was you would actually switch to short bow just to fire off your ultimate for like a lot of damage. I never really had a hard time landing that ability. It was more for the longbow ultimate was just like really skinny when you're trying to get people who are running away. Magnus, essentially nothing changed, just some attack power scaling decrease on his W. Barbara does less damage when hitting both parts of her W, went from 130 to 120%. By the way, guys, feel free to interrupt me if there's a change you think is important and I don't think it's important. So,
No worries.
Sua.
I think the Barbara hit was fair. I think that's pretty normal. They're still trying to do the same thing they've done with her in every patch since she's come out, and it's to curb that play style of just pressing R and slapping your keyboard with W. You know.
Yeah. So Sua, they're making it less rewarding to be bad at her. They're lowering her damage from her passive. This was when you used an ability, you just got a free like a sheen proc with your auto attack. So you could completely miss your ability, but you still get the sheen proc. So they're making it to where the sheen proc on her passive doesn't do as much damage.
Called an empowered auto, sir.
Ah. Cicella. Now this one I'm a fan of. It's gonna hurt a little bit, but I'm a fan of. Her ultimate is no longer global. It's only people who are in the same zone as her. But for anyone who didn't know, she doesn't get full weapon mastery from hitting people with her ult. It was only 30% mastery gain for the damage dealt. Now it's 100% weapon mastery for damage dealt. So if you're in a zone with 6 people that are like you're about to third party a team and like there's 6 people in there, and you ult, that's gonna be way better than ulting when there was like 15 people alive. You're gonna get way more weapon mastery from that. So I am a fan of this change actually, mainly for the weapon mastery part, because that's really all you kind of used your ultimate for. Like you would get like my last Cicella game, I got a random kill with that. That doesn't mean I'm super excited. I didn't feel like, oh my god, I'm so good at this game because I got a random kill with my ult. I'd rather be more excited about fighting people. So anyways, I was gonna say like ulting for weapon mastery was all you really used it for. So now you can just be like, oh, we have vision in this area. Oh, I see that there's a decent chunk of people here. Now I can actually get some decent weapon mastery. In my opinion, that's what I like her ult for. Some people.
I think I like that better too, because it's not like you're gonna go into the end game and go, oh my god, Cicella had like 12k damage, but it was because she just like pressed 6 as soon as, or press R as soon as she has 6. You know what I mean? Like now you actually want to wisely use your ultimate.
And then on the flip side, it means because you would always just randomly get Cicella ulted if there were Cicellas in the game. Sometimes people will be crafting because she had 6. Not everyone's builds are done at that point. Could just randomly interrupt crafts, and that's just obnoxious.
Yeah, and also it's just essentially like stat padding, and now devs are going to be more aware of how much actual damage she does, like useful damage that Cicella actually does.
It's not enough buffer. She needs more buffs. All right, let's see here. Sylvia has gotten a buff for the first time
since we started.
Since her release, I don't know. Yeah. Hitting all, or I believe it's 15 if that's the correct number. I believe hitting all 15 zones now, instead of getting a 5% buff to her attack speed and skill amp, it's gonna be 10%.
Yeah. So I think that even this patch, doing your Grand Prix is actually kind of important, Getting that extra skill amp, that extra attack speed. I mean, the attack speed's not as important as the skill amp for what I use her for, and I think her optimal playstyle is used for.
I love it for
But
crit. I don't care what you say. I'm a crit Sylvia main.
no, no, it's all about going fast. You gotta get the glacials. You gotta go fast, and then the 10%. Yeah, 10%. So it's like getting the 10% from, crown, and then you just get an extra 10% on top of the additional that you're getting from each zone. So I think that's it's a great change. Definitely promotes a different play style that's nobody else has in the game. I like it. Uniqueness. I love uniqueness. So.
Yeah, until they release. Oh God, what's it? Jess, are you familiar with that character? The one that has the hacking win condition? I forgot what it's called. It's like J something, right? Isn't it like 2 letters?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember right now. Give me one.
Because I think their gameplay is go around the map and hack. JP, thank you, chat for that. JP is the character's name. They have like a hacking win condition.
Yeah.
They don't interact with the other player.
It's gonna be PvE for that guy. That guy's gonna be PvE.
All right.
Shout out to Cool Cat for the quick knowledge.
He's an OG player. None of us played the other game. Yeah. All right, Adriana. This character's insane. But what are they doing? They're giving her 2 more defense, 1 less meter on her ult range. I see this as a straight buff.
Wait, for real?
Nah. No, I mean, I see it as a buff because I think
minor.
13 meters is still a really far range.
I know people were talking about it before that they felt like Adriana was a little too strong still. I think this is fair. The nice thing about Adriana is like if you're gonna try to use that distance, you can always still E forward and then use it if you're really chasing someone that much.
True.
Cooldown reduction will help as well. So,
You know what I would like to see? You know what I would like to see is the casting range on Cocktail Party be limited by vision range. So, if she has more vision range, she gets more
Nah.
cast range.
Nah.
I think that would be
no,
good.
No.
There's so many other abilities in
I
this
think
game that you
would
could fire in
hurt
the
her.
Fog of War.
Yeah, I think that would hurt her too much.
I just don't like Adriana.
Wow. Okay.
I wish her ult was instant and just spawned out of the ground instead of being thrown.
I think they just remake her Cocktail Party altogether.
No, I love her ultimate.
I wish her
Just give her
burn.
Rumble.
I wish her burn did more damage, like her passive.
Her Q? Oh, the passive burn?
What? Yeah, I wish her passive burn did more damage.
I feel like she does need that little bit more. I think the difficult thing is that between burn and auto attacks, I think they want to try to balance that better. Is what it is.
I think it was just
It's like-
regen though. I think the issue was actually
Yeah.
regen. I felt like the burn didn't do that much damage, but maybe it was, and people just heal a lot. So we'll see. Because
Like
they're
what,
buffing
different-
regen, the duration, and the reduction. So
Yeah, we'll have to see how this coming patch comes and see what happens. To be honest.
all right, Adela, also another good spots character. Don't see a lot. Actually, I think that back. We do see a lot of her, but I feel like I don't see her perform super well.
Yeah, as opposed to the force that she used to be, where she was just dominating every duos and squads game. I don't know. I've seen a lot less of her since.
I think the
last
best
patch.
Adela we saw today was a sleeping line that was playing Adela, and they just got completely fucking bodied Force.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not to throw shade, I just meant like that's like the best Adela player that I've seen. Haven't run into
I think
fucking
that was Sleepy Lion, I believe, right?
yeah, that was sleeping line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we did run into
Passan doesn't
Gunner.
really play squads. We like never run into him.
We ran into Gunner on Adela and killed him too.
All right, now we're just bragging. No.
We
also killed
a
speaking
testament to Adela. I'm just saying a testament to Adela on this patch.
has
She's not. I don't think she's as
not been
strong
on
as
the up
she
and
used
up.
to be.
So anyways, so they're giving her Qs, her spammable ability, some more attack power, but they're making the combo do less damage. So when you W or E like a pawn or a queen, just does less damage. So the burst combo's down, the spam ability damage is up. Aya, getting a small attack power nerf, decent chunk defense boost though.
It's
So
already really hard to kill.
yeah. ISIL, let's see, the time it takes for him to finish his roll is down, so the distance he goes is going to be more instantaneous. Not instant, but like it'll just be quicker. And then the cooldown on his stealth, going up a little bit. loses 2 seconds off of it. This is normally the second ability you max, and then you finish your passive off for the late game for the defense shred. If you're going amp ISIL though, you usually don't max this ability at all because you're usually doing W second. But yeah, still it's a small nerf to his stealthing back to back. So I don't think he's super strong right now. I think I don't think him with trap specifically is OP. I think people that play ISIL think more about traps, if that makes sense. And I think traps inherently are just good items to have. Would you guys agree or disagree with that? Because I want you to know his passive is he arms the traps quicker, and if someone gets hit by a trap, they lose. I believe it's up to 25% defense. I believe it's 5, 15, and 25% on his passive.
It's really good still. I think ISIL is one of those characters who plays to the late game. You know, like that final circle is where he really shines. So I think it's fine for now. I don't think and most of the time, when we are playing with an ISIL, it's very hard for us to find him sometimes to think about it. Like, he has many ways to escape us. He has that stun. As long as he hits his stuff and he can literally kite you away.
All right, Alex, the weapon swapping connoisseur, getting a little bit more move speed on his passive. So this is a 2-second move speed buff when he's within a certain range of people when he stealths. Getting a little bit more defense and melee for him. His melee and range Q are both getting a fixed 50 mana cost instead of it scaling up based on level. I'm gonna stop right there real quick. I don't think Alex has mana problems, so this will be interesting. Yeah, I don't think the changing it to 50 mana is gonna do anything, except maybe early game. I just don't think Alex has mana problems. W is getting more damage late game when you finish maxing out the ability. This is the last ability you max though, so again, I don't think this changes a whole lot for squads, just because your XP is limited. Usually you have one ability at 1 or 2 points at most at the end of the game, so this doesn't change a whole lot. His taunt, I believe this is insane. It's 0.2 seconds longer, but I'll tell you what. I mean, the more time you can get people to sit in his ult, the better. The more you taunt into W.
Get your full combo off.
Yeah, I think this is a dangerous ability to buff because this is his best ability.
Yep, I agree.
I don't think this is the way you should be buffing this character. I think this ability is what makes his ultimate super good. I think his ultimate by itself is not the greatest. I mean, it's a good ability, but it's hard to get people to sit in there.
Maybe they're trying to push us to build tenacity items.
They're like, oh yeah, we're buffing tenacity this patch, so we're gonna buff his taunt duration. Nope, bad idea. All right, Emma, less defense per level, so she's a little squishier. Her Q does a very small amount more damage. It's a higher attack power scaling. The slow lasts longer by a little bit if you hit both Qs. Nah, not game breaking. She's really just kind of more of a W spam character, or at least that's the more obnoxious part is W into hat if you're trying to chase her as a melee character. So I don't think it's changed a lot. The damage isn't really game breaking. The slow still like the duration is not very doesn't change a whole lot either. Yuki. Oh yeah, so there's some weapon changes later on, so they're actually nerfing Yuki ahead of time. They're kind of buffing his dual swords a little bit. Would you agree or disagree with that, Jake? I know you've been playing some...
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was playing him today. I'm maxing passive. I'm prioritizing my passive with the new changes where he only consumes one button for 2 sword attacks, but applies both the damage to both sword attacks. It's been pretty good. Pretty great.
I like this though. I really do like this better because then you don't see any regen Yukis around. Because then it's like he's more opted to go build something like rockers or something else like that.
Yeah, so they're lowering the base attack power of him. They're giving him 5 extra true damage per button, which is 10 extra damage per auto for dual swords. And then they're reducing the damage on his Q by a decent amount. Jake, with dual swords, have you been maxing this ability after your E or sorry, have you been maxing Q or W second? Besides your
Q.
E. Okay.
Absolutely, Q still does a ton of burst damage. I 100% agree with this change. It does way too much damage. The Q just does way too much damage.
All right, and then yeah, there's some sword changes later on. We'll get to those when we get to those. Two-handed swords specifically, not dual swords. So this is going to be a 40 damage drop. Oh, actually, real quick math. Losing or gaining 5 5 true damage times 2. That's 10 plus a full button up rotation. So maybe not a buff to dual swords technically, because you're losing 40 damage off of Q. But for your first 4 buttons, if they're all auto attacks, which they're not going to be, you're only getting back 40 true damage. So maybe not necessarily a buff to dual swords, maybe a compensation buff because of the two-handed change. So, and maybe just more breaks even with the dual swords. Now that I think about that,
and it's only in the late game. Like, there's no. It's like, when you rank it up the 3rd time, you're losing 20 attack power or 20 damage on it. Excuse me.
For Q, you're losing 40 damage.
Actually, yeah, total of 40 at the end. That is rough, actually. I think that hurts a lot.
All right, so 11, still the worst character in the game, in my opinion. This is an opinion. I'm sorry for any 11 mains out there.
She don't feel good 11s though.
I haven't seen one good 11.
I think there's a reason. We see more Hyunwoos than 11s in squad, despite 11 being the newest tank, taunter, CC queen she's supposed to be.
Is that because Hyunwoo does damage?
She's just not good. She does no damage, and she's just useless in team fights. Despite for being a stun bot.
Fun fact, that's actually a really good comparison because guess what? Hyunwoo's W doesn't do damage either. Think about that for a second.
It's true.
It's food for thought.
Yeah. It's actually a really good comparison. I didn't even realize that until you mentioned it. I'm like, oh yeah, both of their W's don't do any damage. Actually, I take that back a little bit. There's a small auto attack buff to his next auto when he presses W now, but I mean it's really minor. It's like 15% of his defense, I think. All right. Anyways, 11 changes. More. So this ability used to heal for like 15 health or 20 health or something for like over the course of 8 seconds. Now it's coming up to 35 health over the course of 3 seconds. This is one of those things where it's 3 seconds now before she can pick up a second burger on the ground, so she can get another empowered ability. I honestly think that there should be no cooldown on picking up burgers, and that I think the healing should stack. I don't think it should be 35 healing that stacks. I think it could go back down to like 20. But I think she should be able to pick up multiple burgers and kind of like Sua. You know how Sua can stack her passive multiple times? Yeah, before she procs them. I think she should be able to stack her empowered abilities, in my opinion. She'd probably be insane, but then we could work from there because this character is so fucking bad right now.
Maybe just drop less burgers.
I mean, now that I think I've convinced myself. I think that would make her an insane character. And then because people can step on the burgers too, by the way. Enemies can step on the burgers. Right now, you just don't give a shit.
Imagine if you so you'd be able to charge the taunt while charging the Q. I think that would not be a terrible change.
Yeah, and then if she's insane, you could nerf her from there. But I think this character needs a lot of love. Like something is extreme. But anyways, so what they're doing, giving her Q more damage, more flat damage. Again, I really want to play the attack, like the crit auto attack variant of her. I believe I maxed W when I did that. But they're giving. So I don't know if you're supposed to max Q first on her as like a normal playstyle. I would assume so. It's the most spammable ability. But anyways, they're giving it 40 extra damage. It doesn't slow her as much when she's charging it up. And when you finish charging it up, it actually has a larger hit radius. It doesn't say by how much, but it has a wider hit range. So maybe that means with your self slow, people don't actually get out of range of you now because it's a bigger hitbox. I'm hoping. Again, her W doesn't slow her. No, not as big of a self slow anymore. Her E lands earlier than it did before. I like this change. I hope it says a little earlier. I actually think it should be way quicker than it currently is. So my guess is it's still going to be a little slow. Because she kind of felt like she was floating in the air. kind of like a Mary Poppins as she's coming to the end of her leap. It just felt so slow currently. Feels like her kit is a little slow. Like you're charging up your abilities, the E takes a little bit to like land on the ground. It just feels very slow, very deliberate, but very slow. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if she's still the worst character in the game after this. I hope not. I hope. I don't know who would take her place. Kathy. We'll say Kathy's the worst squad's character in the game. I don't know. And for squad specifically, Kathy's pretty fucking bad at squads.
Yeah, Kathy's pretty bad and all across the board right now. It feels like. Zahir.
I almost skipped over him. All right. R. More damage.
More damage late game.
Yeah. Woohoo. Level 16.
They said it's for encouraging people to put more skill points. Were people not maxing his ultimate?
No, they were using it to just get extra chakrams. His W.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because each hit would generate 2 chakrams for his W.
When it goes down, yeah. When the thing touches the ground, he gets more on his W.
Interesting.
Jackie.
Sometimes they don't even bother to hit you with it.
Yeah, we still like almost never see Zahirs in the game. I played 1 game of him a day. This is not a character you can just play 1 game and do well on. So
Like it takes time.
it takes time getting used to it.
Yeah, I've seen some amazing Zahir though. Like once you actually run into a really good Zahir, like it's actually you really can't chase a Zahir like that, and they can really put a dent on you.
Jackie, less attack speed buff when she pops her ult. Her ult does slightly less damage for the explosion portion, but the cooldown is a little bit lower, so a little bit more of a spammable back-to-back fighting ability. Not super crazy, but small nudge. Maybe not going to get some of those explosion kills as often now with the lower damage. The scaling is the same, for attack power scaling is the same, just the base damage goes down a little bit. Kathy!
Better in duels
sorry.
than squads though for Jackie.
For dual swords, I actually think all of her weapons, maybe not necessarily daggers might have to stick as a solo weapon, but I feel like dual swords, two-handed, and axe are all really good in squads right now.
Well, there was that one build I was running that was the scythe build that just goes skill that takes the overpowered crown, and then you take some extra skill damage with your shoes, and then you just take attack speed and you take the quiver, and then you take tuxedo, and you just go to town using your ultimate. And I think this helps that build, honestly, because you're gonna be able to get more ultimates off. I feel like that we're gonna see that build a lot more. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to Jackie players that build axe, but they've been doing incredibly well with the scythe.
All right, Kathy, a little bit more defense per level. Kiara, they said that they're adjusting some of Kiara's skills so she can focus on using other skills rather than just relying on her E. She has a little bit more base attack speed, which means percent attack speed is more effective. So all you crit user, Voltacletos, all you Voltacleto Kiara players out there were joyous. Hand of Corruption, her Q, higher attack power scaling, also a higher mana cost though. Her W has a lower cooldown, which is her shield. The attack power scaling on her shield is up a little bit. The damage on the shield is actually down a little bit. Not super crazy. I think having 2 seconds shaved off of the cooldown though is actually pretty big for that. Her E, losing 30 damage off of the E. Let's see. Actually, where do they shift all this damage? So Q is the same except for the attack power scaling. The shield also lost 20 damage, and then the E is losing 30 damage. She might just do less damage overall now, actually. They're saying they're encouraging her using more than just her E, but it looks like they shaved some damage off. Yeah, because they hit the ult as well. By like 5 damage per tick.
They're basically nerfing her across the board is what it looks like.
Yeah, but they're reducing the cooldowns, which I think...
I don't know how I feel about it yet, to be honest.
Her cooldowns were really long. Yeah, we'll just have to see how this is in game. Having lower cooldowns is always nice, but she lost some damage. Yeah, okay. Bowhedron is apparently very strong on every tier, turning down her power and zone control. Her Q, which is her 2 charge ability, she can hold 2 charges. Slow is going from 50% to 40%, and the second part of her E, so the reactivation, like kind of small AOE at the end, losing 20 attack power, 20 damage at max rank.
They say they single out Bohedgen, but they also affect Shuriken Hedgens. Any Shuriken Hedgen players out there?
Right. Heart, the move speed, the self slow from her Q is not as severe as it was last patch. Really haven't seen much Heart. I don't even know what this is really going to do to her. Hyunwoo moves a little bit slower, kind of the same Razi treatment, just like a tad slower. His W is now now cancels normal attack delay. Okay, so his W is now an auto reset. All right, new weapons. Glove. We're getting a new True Samadhi Fire, so that's like the Tree of Life plus lighter. Getting a new glove that builds out of that, so it's just glove, leather, and then the True Samadhi Fire. 48 attack power has a new effect, Smolder. This effect does true damage based on the enemy's current HP, so not max HP. It is current percent HP. Stacks up to 4 times, and it's 2%. We will talk more about this later, but yeah, glove is now getting a Tree of Life weapon. Before it just had a Mithril String. Pistol, Elegance is losing 30 attack power, so going from 90 to 60, but it has 2 attack power per level now. So the pistol now caps out at 100 attack power at level 20. Things, I believe, the most common characters I see build Elegance are both Sylvia and Aya. It was a Hospital in the Pond build. Kind of thinking we might not see Sylvia build it, but I suspect Aya will actually probably still build this just because her base damages are actually really high. And she doesn't auto attack a super large amount. Anyways, I just suspect that. Basically, it's an Elegance nerf. It's a 2-zone weapon, can't really grief as hard with it now. Electron Blaster losing 3 Enad. It was just an even smaller amount of move speed, kind of unnoticeable. Enad, usually just a more noticeable effect on Razi since she gets the 2 auto attacks with her passive. Not the end of the world, just kind of a small nerf to her early game. Again, this weapon scales insanely well with the Enad per level.
They're nerfing that movement speed, but they're also nerfing her base movement speed, so it should be a tad slower than.
True. Yeah, that puts her at like a 0.7, losing 0.07. Sorry, move speed. Guitar, the wall. This is the I believe it's Factory Cemetery 2-zone weapon. It's either Factory Cemetery or Factory Chapel. I really don't play Heart. It's getting 3 more attack power. A little bit stronger of a fighting weapon early on. Back before Factory had the teleporter, and Chapel was the only teleporter, Hearts would just fucking kill people in Chapel with this weapon. This weapon was so insanely strong. Has so much attack power. It only had 2 Enad, despite people using this for the Enad build. But yeah, Hearts would just fucking kill people in Chapel with this weapon. But it's getting 3 more attack power. It'd be interesting to see if that even matters. Satisfaction. This is the mid-range Enad guitar. This is the one that has it's not 2 Enad, but it's not like the 40 Enad that Teen Spirit gets up to. Satisfaction, I believe, has like 15 Enad. It's getting 10% more attack speed. My guess is people just aren't building it. That also might be the reason why Wall is getting buffed. I'm imagining everyone's just going Teen Spirit. There's attack range and scaling Enad, so I can see why it might be the best guitar in the game. Dagger. There's also a glove skill change. I actually skipped over it. So Dagger and glove skill are both now becoming targeted weapon abilities. So you can't just like auto attack, press D on your keyboard, and you get the free auto reset. You actually have to auto attack and then cast the D ability on the character you want to use it on. So you have to put your mouse over them now. Let's see. It says this change is implemented to solve problems caused by multi on next hit skills queuing at the same time. Not sure what this is. Not a big deal. Fragarak. It's also getting a new item effect. It's losing 5 attack power, a small amount of move speed. But every 3 seconds, your next auto attack, if you have Fragarak, is guaranteed to crit. Rapier, Meteor Claymore, also getting that effect. Next, every 3 seconds, your next auto attack is guaranteed to crit. It's losing critical strike damage, and it's a critical strike chance. So, literally just relying on this 3-second cooldown, guaranteed to crit. Joyce, I believe this is the Mithril Rapier, getting 3 more attack power, losing a little bit of move speed. Hammer, Weight of the World. This is the new Suo Hammer, the one that referred to Suo Hammer, but I guess Levin's been building it more. It's losing all of its crit chance, but Same effect, except every 4 seconds instead of 3. The next normal auto attack is guaranteed to crit. We're getting a new bat. Let's see. This is the blue bat. Builds out of short rod and steel. Steel is scrap metal and iron ore, I believe. It has 40 attack power and minus 0.1 move speed. The purple version is short rod, steel, and then you add a glass panel to that. It's 100 attack power, and the next attack is guaranteed to crit. So I believe that's like 4 items we've gotten that have the guaranteed to crit effect on it so far. Crossbow, weapon mastery, the skill amp weapon mastery is going up by a small amount. Ballista is getting less negative attack speed to it. This weapon's still garbage. I have not seen a single ballista since the nerf to the raw attack power. Yeah, trying to make it an amp crossbow. Still have yet to see ballista at all.
I've also noticed they're trying to encourage more crit builds. Is what they're trying to do. Is what it looks like.
Well, when you make out an effect that's called guaranteed to crit, or makes your next attack guaranteed to crit, you don't necessarily build crit chance with that. You generally build like attack power and plus that Crit of the Night item, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because if it's guaranteed to crit, you don't need crit chance with it. So I don't necessarily think it's a crit build. Just kind of like more of a high attack power build, plus like a free crit every so often. Shuriken, less attack power scale, not attack power, less auto attack scaling with shurikens, slightly better skill amp scaling with shurikens. Death Rune, this is the Tree of Life shuriken. The recharge time between auto attack refills is going from 24 to 20. Azure Dagger, this is literally only a Zahir shuriken, and I don't even think it's his best one. Not sure, not a Zahir player, but it's getting 2 more attack power. Petal Torrent is going from 3 charges to 4, but it's losing 5 attack power, 5 ENAD, and 5% critical strike damage. But again, it's going up to 4 charges from 3. Excalibur, now we're on the two-handed swords, getting 50% less HP regen, so going from 200% to 150%, hurting those regen builds a little bit. Dainsleaf, this is the VF Blood Sample two-handed sword. It's also getting the next attack is guaranteed to crit. The cooldown on that is 4 seconds. Levitine, this is the True Samadhi Fire two-handed sword. No longer gives ENAD, no longer gives regen of HP or SP, and it's losing 10 attack power. But it's getting the new Smolder effect, which we mentioned earlier, that glove, the Phoenix Fire, I believe is what it's called, is also getting this effect. So normal attacks apply a debuff that deals true damage every second based on the enemy's current HP. That amount is 2%, and this effect can stack up to 4 times and last for 4 seconds. It's kind of an insane effect. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Sniper Rifle, the Skill Amp Sniper Rifle, which only Aya builds, losing 2 attack power.
That's not big.
Yeah, not the end of the world. Spear, Blazing Lance. This is the True Samadhi Fire Spear. The only character you'll ever see this spear on is, of course, Fiora, as Jukai does not go auto attack. It is losing 25 attack power, losing all of its HP and SP regen, losing its 33 ENAD. I'm going to say right now, that's an insane amount of stats that you're losing as Spear Fiora, because you usually build crit with this. 33 ENAD with that W reset, like auto and then W. It's like 100. It's almost 100. That is like 100 true damage you're losing right off the gate, and 25 attack power. Kind of insane, but you're getting that new effect. Deals 2% of the enemy's current HP as true damage. Stacks up to 4 times and lasts for 4 seconds. Kind of also an insane effect, but this is probably... we'll talk about it later. I think this is probably the most balanced change, though, for all the weapons out there. Because I don't think Levitine got hit hard enough for this new effect. Whip changes. This is just going to affect Linux as the only whip character in the game. Wind Whip, this is the blue whip, I believe, builds out of medallion and fan. You used to need medallion and fan, now you need medallion and feather.
Which is gonna hurt. Two zone, went from 2-zone weapon into.
Sorry, this is the blue one. So yeah, this is still a 2-zone though. So I guess we'll skip ahead a little bit. So Gleipnir, it's gonna become a 3-zone whip instead of a 2-zone whip. The 2 zones, the wind whip you get from going to your 2nd zone though, They're compensating her a little bit. They're giving the blue whip more attack power. They're increasing it by 12. They are removing the extra skill damage, but they're also giving it move speed. As something that builds out of feather, most feather items have move speed associated to them. Glepnir, like I said, it's become a 3-zone weapon now. Extra skill damage is going from 40 to 30, but the whip now provides grievous wounds and gives you move speed. So it's a slower weapon to build, less damage on it, but gives grievous wounds. Debatable. Is it more of a grief weapon now than it used to be? Probably not, because it's slower to build. Probably a better fighting weapon though, early on, just because you're really negating healing now for free. But then again, I think when most people had Glepnir, I believe most people also had White Crane Fan at a similar pace, so kind of already had grievous wounds. Thunder Whip, this is the dedicated scaling whip. It's basically Glepnir, but for late game, if you weren't going to get a VF blood sample. They are now giving it 10 more attack power. It has no skill amp now at level 1, but it gets 2% skill amp per level. So if you ever hit level 20, you have 40% skill amp on a whip. Kind of insane. I don't know if there's any weapons out there that give as much amp as this whip, but I'm still convinced. I don't think anyone's going to build this. Maybe because the competition got changed. So because Glepnir is a 3-zone weapon now, I believe Thunder Whip's always been a 3-zone weapon. I think you may actually see Thunder Whip now, just because of the competition of the Glepnir.
Routing.
Yeah. Bloody Ninetails, a little bit easier to build late game. You no longer need the fan. You just need the whip and medallion plus the VF blood sample. Throw. The weapon ability lasts 1 less second, going down from 5 seconds to 4. The auto attack scaling for throw weapons is going down a smidge. The skill amp scaling on throw weapons is actually going up though. I would say Socella buffs again. The weapon mastery farming with her ult. Smoke bomb. This is the I believe it's like the higher attack power Adriana weapon. If you didn't want to go incendiary, yeah, but like harder, like less auto attacks essentially. Anyways. It's getting more charges, so you can hold more auto attack charges now with Smoke Bomb. Grenade of Antioch. I practically never see this built. I think it's more of a high player caliber thing. I don't know how to phrase it. It's like people have to memorize what it is because most people built 2, and for a beginning player, that's not really something you can ask of them. So if you saw a new player build it, they generally had 1 and they were out of auto attack, so this was really just kind of like a high level player item. But anyways, it's going from legendary to epic, so you get less mastery for building it. It's got less attack power now. It's got 25 less ENAD now, but it gets 3 more charges. And also the recharge time on the auto attacks is going down significantly. Sign ball is being changed to the name is changing to autographed baseball. So that's literally just fountain pen and your throw weapon. Fireball. So this is fountain pen plus your spawning baseball, plus fire trap. So it gives really small amount. It's 18 attack power. And again, this is a purple that gives 18 attack power. It's actually worse than Azure Dagger. But the extra skill damage is 3 per level. So level 20, this weapon gives you 60 flat skill amp, and it's a throw weapon.
We'll talk about it when we get to William later, but I do have some concerns about this that I would like to address when we get to William.
About the flat amp?
About the weapon in general. About what it means for William, what it means for his release.
Okay. But I was gonna say, I think the only 2 characters that'll ever build this would probably be Zahir mainly, and then Solo potentially, just because Zahir throws out so many W's if he lands his Q and E. So really abuses the flat skill amp. New force core throw weapon being added to the game. My first gut reaction was Adriana finally got the buff she needed because she can't build auto head anymore. Instead, she gets to build a whole new throw weapon that gives even more attack power than Incendiary. You're gaining like almost 50 attack power just by changing your throw weapon.
Right, it used to be that if she got a 4 score, she just built auto arms, but now this is actually something worth building.
So this is ball lightning, which God, I had the recipe before. What is it? It's like carbonated battery, or sorry, is it? Do you know the recipe to ball lightning? It's like steel ball plus dead battery. Maybe?
No.
I
No,
forget. It's
water,
really
battery,
easy.
It's water, battery, and iron ball.
Okay, yeah. So the dead battery you don't need carbonated, so you just need water, battery, and iron ball. So you can get the iron ball from forest. You can get the water from forest. You can get the I'm spacing right now. Battery. You can get the battery from Avenue. If you're assuming this is something you build after Wick, where you get the force core. So you get the force core in Avenue on spawn. Get the battery from there. Walk in the forest. You can finish your throw weapon. Bow. Ancient Bolt. This is the red bow that no one knew existed until Rio came out. Losing 4 ENAD. So for Rio, because you auto attack twice, it's basically you're losing 8 damage per rotation of autos. I kid you not, like this weapon, a lot of people are like, what the heck is this? And Jake, I believe your words were, wait, I didn't know this bow existed, or something like that.
Yeah, when I found out that it was the highest DPS bow on Rio, I let you know. I was like, yeah, I had no idea this bow even existed.
Armor. Nerfs to some region, compensation buffs to the cooldown reduction. I believe this armor piece was literally only built for the region, so I don't think this armor piece is going to get built anymore. Because
I'm still building it. I'm building it on Shuriken. It routes well with Jade Charm, and then also it's getting more cooldown reduction, so I like it.
Yeah, isn't the build okay? I guess you just don't need a lighter and ice. I would say because priest robes would be the competition in my mind. What do you need to finish this one? So it's monk's robe, bandage, flower. What's the last thing you need for covert agent? Medallion? I think that's
no, isn't it just monk's robe, bandage, flower, and then
for covert agent, I think you need medallion because it's the one that builds into Mistleton too, and I think you need a medallion to finish covert agent. Covert agent's the one after handbok. A handbok's the one that builds into high priest.
You're right, it's a medallion.
Yeah.
So medallion is in temple, so I'm assuming because of your Shuriken Hedgen, it's like one of the places you go to.
Yeah, it'd be like temple, alley, avenue, then hospital. Walking through pond.
Alright, so my mistake, people will be building this. It's losing some regen, gaining some CDR. Suit, so this is the thing before Tuxedo and before Butler suit. Getting 10% lifesteal. So this is one zonable in Uptown, by the way. If you get your Windbreaker, pick up twigs, and then you have your ribbon. This is a blue chest piece that'll give you 15% lifesteal now. High Priest robes, starting to see more of this item. I've also been building this item a lot more. It's getting 3% more cooldown reduction. Always nice to see, considering this item doesn't give HP like EOD does. Also been seeing less EOD chest pieces. I don't know if you guys have noticed that when you loot bodies. I'm not seeing as many EOD chest pieces as I used to.
Yeah, definitely not.
Blazing Dress no longer gives regen for SP and HP. No more flat regen. It gives more % SP regen now. Not the end of the world. The burn effect they've added the unique effect tag to Flame Barrier, so that obviously implies they're going to be adding more Flame Barrier effects to the game later on, considering this is the only one right now. And they're also increasing the burn damage per second based on your own HP. Leg Maverick Runners getting more tenacity. I'll skip ahead. Boots of Hermes is also getting more tenacity. 5% for both. Still, prediction, not going to see this item ever. I believe we had discussed that the stats behind tenacity don't back it up enough to make you want to build them.
Right.
Straight Jackets, a small amount more extra skill damage. Glacial Shoes, less out of combat move speed. And the Red Shoes, which is the BF Blood Sample plus Killer Heals, a little bit more lifesteal. New headpiece. Real quick. Moto Helm is getting less HP, just overall.
It's 15 less, right?
Yeah, 15 less HP. And then we have a new headgear called Mohawk Headgear. It's a purple headpiece. It's Fire Helmet, which is water, rock, plus the white biker helmet, and then a spiked plank. I've already theory crafted a couple builds. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a meta headpiece. Anyone that uses a spiked plank in their build is going to be building this. So
Probably
anyone,
Linux.
yeah, anyone that uses like probably not Gleipnir builds, but I believe most people that use spiked planks are going to be using this. I suspect actually.
Chiara.
Yeah, I guess she could. I was thinking more like
Whoever's building Burnished Aegis.
Burnished Aegis. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the big one. Because this
Or trying to build Scotty in late game.
yeah, so this item gets 315 HP, so it's right next to Crown. Instead of defense though, it gives Natter, which is ENAD reduction, and then it gives you Grievous Wounds. So getting Grievous Wounds on this, a lot of people run White Crane Fan. If you have a Grievous Wounds item that gives HP, so you don't have to run a squishy accessory like White Crane Fan, guess what? You can run like Schrodinger's as your accessory and still have Grievous Wounds. How much HP are people going to have now? I suspect. This is my prediction. You're giving an HP item Grievous Wounds. That's dangerous.
I can imagine Adriana building this.
We have another troublesome headpiece with a crown, I believe. So, should be fun. Opera Mask no longer gives out of combat move speed. The Sheen proc now does more damage. Laurel Reef now has 10 attack power. Lost all of its HP regen, and the ENAD it gives now is actually 4 less. This is actually kind of a big change to AR characters, considering they get 3 auto attacks or 3 bullets per attack. So losing 12 damage per attack will stack up, because getting 10 attack power as a compensation against characters with defense, you're not necessarily getting 4 damage as compensation per bullet. So it'll be interesting. Doesn't mean any characters that build Laurel Reef that have spells though will be doing more damage if they're not completely relying on the ENAD from the headpiece. So. Lucian Halo, the Sheen proc does more damage based on the enemy's HP. Accessory Hawkeye has been buffed. It is now the best accessory in the game. Don't need to tell you what the buff was, but it is now the best accessory in the game.
Yeah, 0.5 vision, extra vision range doesn't make it the best accessory in the game.
I can see all the way across the map with the extra half vision range that it has given me. I can see everything that you were doing.
Building now.
Tree Samadhi Fire, for those of you that don't know, most tree items, tree of life items, you can actually put in your accessory slot. So if you ever decide to just put the True Samadhi Fire in your accessory slot, it now gives you 10 attack power and 10 defense, but no longer gives you HP or SP regen. Fried Chicken now gives 700 HP healing instead of 650. Again, this is heated oil plus raw meat.
It was the one chicken only though. There used to be 2 chickens.
Meteorite is now become a blue item instead of green. I believe this is probably going to be because of airdrops. Green boxes can only give you food out of airdrops, so changing Meteorite to be a blue item, I believe, makes it so you can get it from airdrops now. Unless I'm mistaken, but I believe that is what this is going to mean.
I'll be honest, I always thought Meteorite was blue because it is blue.
No, it's been green, which is hilarious when you actually open up a green box and see it.
Interesting.
If you are incredibly far behind, let's say, I don't know, you left your computer for like 30 minutes from the game and you're more than 3 levels lower than someone, you now get bonus experience to try and catch up to them. Once you get that 3 level threshold though, you can't really catch up to them. You're pretty much just gonna be 3 levels below them for the rest of the game. But at least you won't be 5, right? So, anyways, trap mastery, you get a little bit less trap mastery from hitting animals with traps. A little bit less ENAD reduction from the defense mastery. I actually don't know if this is the end of the world. Yeah, I don't know much about defense mastery. I only know how to do damage. So, Beach is getting more items just across the board. Just like one more item of different things. Things to note: 1 extra hammer, 1 extra carbonated water, 1 extra bike helmet with that new headpiece they're adding. Kind of important.
You can try to choose on that.
Probably 1 more pickaxe on Beach. Pretty cool. One more pickaxe, 1 more hammer, No more gems though. They're not adding extra gems. Kind of sad, but they're adding extra pickaxe and hammer. Forest is getting a extra pickaxe. It's getting 2 extra feathers. Extra snare. Honestly, could care less. I don't.
The feathers are probably because of Lennox, though, to be honest.
Yeah, I believe the meta Gluttony route will probably route through Forest. We're getting extra snare. Honestly, delete that from the game. It's only for pendulum maxes, and I hate seeing pendulum maxes. 1 extra tight, 1 extra iron ore. Pond is getting an extra hammer. Guys, let's celebrate. Let's celebrate everyone who ever wanted to get hammers from Pond. We now have 8 hammers instead of 7.
The chances are better.
Alright, 1 extra pickaxe, 1 extra short rod, 1 extra flower for all of you who make orchids in Pond. There's an extra flower now. Because I believe there was like a 3 or 4 oriental herb difference. There was like so many more herbs than there were flowers, so it's an extra flower in Pond now.
The ratio.
An extra mousetrap, extra hatchet. Uptown has 2 less cameras now, 1 less lemon, but they're adding 3 baseballs. Alley, 1 less garlic, 2 less binoculars. That makes me sad. I love finding binoculars. And they're adding 3 baseballs to Alley. Hotel is 1 less lemon, but 1 extra needle. That's actually a really big change. There's a lot of builds that need needle from Hotel, actually. So that's actually pretty big.
Let's see. They're moving some things around. Let's see.
Yeah, I believe purple is spawn points. Yeah, purple is spawn points, blue is box change, yellow is the same. Blue box change.
You see that spawn right by the console? That's the bad spawn. If there were 5 people at beach, that's the bad spawn.
Looks like in beach they removed some of these boxes along the water, and they're adding them closer to the console and towards forest. Let's see, forest. They only removed 1 thing, and that's actually near the Tree of Life in Hotel. They removed a box over there. They added some boxes towards Chapel. Pond removed 2 boxes near the console, but added 3 boxes to the right-hand side of Pond. Oh, and what? Okay, yeah, 1. Okay, well, I guess they added another one near the console, just like 2 feet away from the other one. So, beach, you're basically, there's less boxes to loot along the water side. You're more incentivized to go towards that car, towards forest. Forest, there's just more loot on the chapel side of forest now compared to before. And pond, there's more loot, kind of like where that boar spawns near the fishing area. So. Not the end of the world. Green air supplies no longer drop 1 stack of food, so when you open it, you're not going to see 1 hamburger anymore. Overall, increase the overall value for air supplies during mid-late game. Not sure what value means. I wonder if that just means better stuff. Like, I better not see EOD. I better not see EOD boosts later in the game from Elo chest. That would be increasing value. Air supplies will now drop more situational equipment, such as battlesuit, lunar embrace, and mithril, based on mithril-based equipment during the late game, and legendary air supplies will appear slightly more. Team mode adjustments. Rio did way too much damage in Duo's squad, finally getting the smackdown that she deserves. William is getting the pre-smackdown before he's even come out.
They're already worried. I worry already.
They hit him so hard before he's even come out in team modes. I was looking at his numbers, and I don't think they're insane. So I mean, I guess we'll just have to see. I mean, he's an auto attacker. Rio was an amp character, so. Adriana is actually getting buffed in duos, doing 3% more damage, getting some of her damage back. Hyunwoo is also getting gutted, or not gutted. Sorry, he's basically losing just about 3% damage in all team modes on both of his weapons. Features on watch. They don't like that Jukai is not killing everyone on the map, but he's still winning the game. So they're trying to increase his kill rate. Something that they aren't doing right now, but they're keeping an eye on. Cool. Not actually cool. And then probably the last big change in the patch is you can now cancel hyperloops with rooted. So this is things like Kathy's E, which people might say, Kathy's E could always interrupt teleports. Well, now you no longer have to hit a wall with it. Now you just have to hit them with the suture. You don't actually need to stun them. You just need to hit them with the E. With things like Bernice traps, if someone starts to teleport, you drop a trap underneath them. Or if you ult them, both of those will interrupt a hyperloop now.
And just Adriana's W alone now will drop.
No, that's grounded. No, that's grounded.
Oh, the grounded. Oh,
Grounded's not a root. And I believe that is it for the patch. I'm not gonna read. I'm not gonna read those.
Yeah, I think this is fine from here.